Well, hello there, everybody, and welcome back to the channel where, despite popular opinion, it's actually not all dead puppies, old cats, and dirty diapers. We're actually going to get into some positivity in this episode, like we've done so many times in the past. Today, we're going to be talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe and my personal top 10 favorite movies in that saga. I told you today's video was going to be lazy, but then I put a lot of work into this morning's video, so here's the lazy one. All right, let's get started. Alright, and at number 10 we have one that I don't really love all that much. It's Black Panther. But below that, they start getting really, really bad. So Black Panther, I'll give it credit for good acting. It's well performed, it's well shot, it's well put together. I just think that the writing is a little lazy from time to time, and the CGI kind of drags it down in the third act. I'm not going to get too much into it, we're going to just move. Alright, and number 9 is the first Avengers film, which I also don't really think is all that great, but on premise alone, I think this film was very impactful, very important, very huge in more ways than one. It is well shot, well acted, well choreographed, things like that. It's very well made, but the writing, the dialogue from time to time is very lazy. It's just, I think it's a bit sloppy. I think it fell victim to what I like to call the timetable disorder. And I'll get into timetable disorder in the future. But moving on to number 8. Yes, the Star Spangled Man with a Plan is the only Avenger to get all 3 of his solo films onto this list, but that's just because they're so gosh darn diddly darn good. My home slice bread slice dog. Now the first one's very cheesy, very campy, I'll admit that, and the villain is a little bit, just Hitler. But apart from that, it does a great job of starting to set up some more cosmic elements and introducing us to who would end up being a lot of people's favorite Avenger. And on the topic of introducing people for the future, number 7, we have SpiderMan Homecoming. I will admit that I don't think SpiderMan Homecoming is the best Spider-Man film to date. I think it's kind of weak in some areas. It's very contradictory of what happened in Civil War, and then it doesn't really set Spider-Man up to be all that cool because he's just a little, Mr. Stark, come notice me. But I don't know, it does a great job of setting up his relationship with the villain. The villain is standout. Vulture was very uniquely done in this movie, and it does have a nice way of tying things up, so I'll give it credit for that. Moving on. The first Guardians of the Galaxy movie was something very special. It went for an aesthetic that we hadn't really seen out of Marvel yet. It went for a very comedic tone, which would then set the stage for how you do movies about Marvel characters people don't really know all that much about. But apart from a very stale villain, it does do a lot more for the cosmic universe world building and expanding things outside of just Earth as far as story goes. You get to see a little bit more of Thanos, understand what he's after, all things like that. But it does a nice little job of dropping little bird seeds while also telling its own story of putting together the Guardians of the Galaxy. Moving on. Alright, so from here on in is where we get to the ones that are good almost all around. Just give me more butter. Doctor Strange, almost perfectly done, except for the writing being a little bit lazy on that. It's expertly acted, performed, staged, shot, directed. The effects are mind-blowing. Goodness gracious. Benjamin Jumpkin-Patch gives a fantastic performance like he does in everything. Come to think of it, he plays Doctor Strange the same way that he plays Sherlock Holmes and Julian Assange and Alan Turing. But hey, moving on. Now, how are we gonna do this list without giving up some love to the OG, the first ever Iron Man, the guy that set this whole thing into motion? That movie is not only expertly done, it takes risks. It uses real life terrorism as a plot point instead of just being like, oh man, the men are the problem. No, this movie isn't afraid to get his hands a little bit dirty, and the effects still hold up here a decade later. Robert Downey Jr., he earned the reputation that he has as Iron Man. That movie is still one of my favorites. I watch it at least once a year. It's phenomenal, It's probably the best it is the best Iron Man movie. Speaking of Iron Man movies, we're going to be talking about Iron Man 4, also known as Captain America Civil War. Alright, this movie was the best Civil War story they could have ever done, especially with the the guidelines that the Russo brothers were given, like, hey, introduce Spider-Man, introduce not Iron Man, Black Panther in this movie. They had to do those things, but they did them very tastefully. And apart from that, the story was really well put together. I just wish it hadn't been marketed the way that it was. But they had to keep it non-spoilery. So we were a little bit misled, but that's okay, you know? Misleading people in the marketing is alright as long as you still get the desired response from the fans. But everybody did a great job. They really knocked it out of the park this time. And I'm going to stop shaking the camera now. Number 2, we have what you guys probably all want me to have as my number 1, Avengers Infinity War. As much as I love that movie, I don't think it's worth the number 1 spot, you know, and that's only because we don't have the full story yet, but it just falls a little bit short of the glory that is my number 1, which you probably figured out just by process of elimination. But I do think it's a very worthy installment in this story. It does capture the last 10 years of storytelling that we've been going through together as a community. Thanos lives up to all expectations. They balance the characters just perfectly, in my opinion. They give every character in the movie, every main character in the movie, a chance to be your favorite character. Doctor Strange was mine. Let me know who yours was in the comments. We'll have that discussion. But, you know, the long-awaited number 1, let's get right into it. Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Now, I just want to take a second to talk about how expertly done this film was. First of all, Anthony and Joe Russo, the people that made this, they knew that a lot of people already knew who the Winter Soldier was, so having him be Bucky wasn't a big enough twist. So what did they do? They turned S.H.I.E.L.D. into Hydra. They turned the whole idea of good and evil on its head, and it rippled throughout the entire MCU from that moment on. Alright? Now, not only was Bucky an expertly written villain, so was Alexander Pierce. The fake death arc with Fury was also expertly done. The ending was a bit schlocky because it was a superhero film, but it never took away from the emotional story that Bucky and Steve were having together. That's why I think that film was so strong. There's a dog outside my house. Not my dog. But the thing is, this movie is a solid 9.5 out of 10. There's almost nothing I don't like about it. I have to stop before I end up making an entire video just about that movie. But there you have it. That's pretty much all I really wanted to talk about. Let me know below if our lists match at all. Let me know if I'm stupid. But be sure to like this video, rate this video 1 to 5 stars like it's 2007 YouTube. Share it around with your friends. Subscribe if you're new. And if you like what you've seen here, there's a playlist down there somewhere on the channel where you can just get caught up on all my best videos. See you later.